Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Basketball Bulletin. My name's Trevor Lane, and we are 21 hours and counting, about 21 hours and 45 minutes till the trade deadline, noon Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. The NBA's trade deadline. Lots going on. In fact, we just had a trade go down. Joining me is Donnie Freeman. Donnie, Jonas Valanciunas to the Kings. I didn't see this coming. I didn't think Sacramento was going to be the team to jump in. There's CD Sissoko in a couple of seconds going out to Washington for Valanciunas. What do you think?
I love it. Sacramento really needed a backup big. And I think that maybe they can approximate a little bit of what they do. Not much, but a little bit of what they do with Sabonis, having him in there. And other than that, I love it for the Lakers because it kind of saved them from themselves. So
were you worried about the Lakers getting Jonas?
I mean, he's better than Cleaver and stuff like that, but I wasn't a huge fan.
It was 2 seconds going out from Sacramento. That's really good value, I think, for Washington. Jonas has not been great this season, but he can get rebounds. And look, if he's playing 15 minutes a night behind Sabonis, maybe occasionally playing with him.
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Smokey's saying that in the chat, they needed a backup big that could block shots, not Jonas. Correct. They needed a defensive backup big, but that clearly wasn't available or wasn't available for their price range. So they got the next best available thing, and I think that works. Their backup otherwise is Trey Lyles, which they've gone small ball with him, or Alex Len, and he's been atrocious this year. So it's not really terrible for them. So that's why I said I love it. So.
He is more playable than Alex Len is right now, is what it comes down to. So he's an upgrade in that sense. And they haven't even been using Alex Len all that much, as you said. Nope. They've been instead going smaller. Now, that's one of the more minor trades right now, but still one of the major pieces in terms of the centers available. One of the names that's been out there the most, I should say, is Jonas Valanciunas for a while. We know Washington signed him specifically to trade him, and they were able to turn him into a pair of second-round picks. Now, the other much bigger news, the Warriors pivoting now. Kevin Durant has told them, I don't want to be a Warrior again. I remember what that was like last time. I don't want to do it again. So they are out on the Kevin Durant chase and instead are pivoting towards Jimmy Butler. We could also see the Warriors potentially get in on Brandon Ingram, although it sounds like it's the Hawks and the Raptors competing for Brandon Ingram. But let's start Warriors looking at Jimmy Butler. What are your thoughts there? This is where I thought he would wind up all along, and now that may indeed be right where we're headed.
Yeah, the more things change, the more they stay the same, right? I mean, it's funny that they're coming full circle back to the Warriors. But I mean, unless Jimmy's changed his stance, I don't know what you do here. Like, do you still just go get him? I've been an advocate of just go get him, see if you like it, and maybe he'll like it, and he'll stick around, Maybe you can reach an agreement on a number that's feasible for both of you, years that are feasible, and you kind of make it work. We're getting really close to either it's put up or shut up time. Either you're going somewhere, maybe you don't want to go there if you're Jimmy, or you're just staying in Miami. We're getting really freaking close.
We are.
So I don't, unless it's some other phantom team, it's basically Warriors or bust.
Well,
the Suns aren't. It doesn't sound like they're in it anymore, right?
It sounded like the Suns, they're not in it for, the Suns aren't in it to send KD to Golden State. The Suns could be in it to send KD to Miami.
Okay.
If I'm Miami and I can somehow turn Jimmy into Kevin Durant, yes, please. I would do that in a second if I'm Miami.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about the Miami piece of it. Man, that they could do that too. They could do that too. So it's basically a bidding war between those two teams at this point. Maybe making something happen. I don't know. Which team do you think is going to pull it off? You said
I think it'll be Golden State. I think Golden State is desperate enough. And I just keep coming back to, why do the Suns want to turn Durant into Jimmy? Unless they know that Durant is going to leave this summer, is going to ask out this summer. He does have on his contract right now, he's got 2 years under contract. It's possible this summer he could go to Phoenix and say, hey, trade me. I'm not going to stay when I hit free agency the next year. unless they know that's coming, I don't understand why the Suns would want to turn Kevin Durant into Jimmy Butler. That makes no sense. So I believe that sanity will prevail, and he'll wind up with the Warriors, who are a team that needs to do something. They want to climb up in the standings. They need to make something happen here. And I think we're going to see a deal. Now, the rumor is, according to Mark Stein, that it's a deal centered around Dennis Schroeder. His $13 million contract, which, by the way, is just now today eligible to be reaggregated in a trade. So if we were to do something, sending Schroeder over to Miami, they could stack Schroeder. You've got other expiring salaries in Gary Payton II. The curious thing is, can they get it done without Andrew Wiggins? That's going to be the challenge for them.
Yeah. Would they just have to do a bunch of small numbers, not do Wiggins, not do Green?
Yeah. In fact, we can work through the math on that as we're talking through this. I do like the Warriors as a landing spot for him, as long as he can get along with Draymond. But the challenge for Golden State has been, we don't want to give up Jonathan Kuminga in the deal. I think that ship has probably sailed. Dennis Schroeder can be sent to Miami, but again, we're still have to stack up more salary. Let's say we go another expiring. I mean, we just start stacking up so many players, though.
Yes. They're going to play that game on Thursday and have nobody.
If you keep stacking up all these contracts, it gets tough. And that's where I think building something like this.
Good Lord.
Off of, and by the way, it was probably going to be a 3-team deal, but you build something off of Andrew Wiggins, and that's probably going to be easier to do.
Yeah. That's definitely interesting. I mean, I'd like Jimmy in either destination, really. I think he fits pretty well. I just don't really love the fit with him in Phoenix so much. That's just me, though. Maybe somebody else disagrees and thinks it would work better. We did a video yesterday. Actually, we may have talked about this in yesterday's live. And there was a comment that broke down. It was very lengthy. It broke down like KD versus Jimmy, all these advanced metrics, and basically comes to the conclusion that Butler is the better player and would fit better. So really? I don't know. Yeah, basically. So I don't know if maybe that's what they're doing in terms of this. Maybe they're thinking about that type of stuff too, and the fit's better. I just come back around to, you have to do Beal still. Like, you're still building around Beal, but maybe the fit is better if KD is not there, and you relegate Jimmy to more, like, I don't know if you put Jimmy more off ball. He's more of a catch and shoot guy. He's been a better catch and shoot player, but one of the things he said is whatever destination he went to, he wanted to be more of a focal point, because they had shifted their offense away from him more in favor of the other two guys there. So I don't really know how that all works.
My knee-jerk reaction to that would be something's wrong with the test if the results are showing that Jimmy is better than Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
I just can't.
And there's also concerns maybe about KD's long-term health and if he'll age in the way LeBron is, or maybe, not that too. I don't really know. But doesn't that apply to Jimmy too, for the record? So I don't know. It's crazy.
Absolutely. All right, let's go here. What are the odds Butler doesn't get traded? I think slim. I think Miami is done. They're gonna find it, whether it's Golden State, somewhere else. I think Miami is done with him, and they're gonna move him.
Yeah, there was also I forgot about this. Remember this part where from the Minnesota days?
Oh yeah,
I forgot about that. You'd have to imagine
they have to put Wiggins in the trade.
Yeah, you'd have to imagine they're like 5-6 years older, something like that. They could maybe work it out.
Yeah, you never know.
I totally forgot. Oh, the Butler not getting traded piece. There was that report also where the Heat players supposedly would welcome Jimmy back. If things kind of went that way,
yes.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, if that ultimately winds up being what happens, you still have the same dilemma. You still have the problem of, what's the long term look like? There was also that report that Jimmy's willing to negotiate. Well, no crap. Of course he is. Like, of course he's willing to negotiate. That's taking us full circle back to the beginning of all of this. Like, of course he would negotiate.
Of course.
So, I think it's interesting, but I don't think they can hold on to him. I think you've just got to get rid of him after going through all of this drama at this point for months now. You've just got to get off him. And
all it's going to do is you're going to extend it, and then you're going to deal with the same crap in the summer.
Yeah, unfortunately, that just means you may have to just take the best available. That doesn't mean you're gonna, like, Miami has been said to want various things, young players, maybe draft capital, contracts that are going until 26, but that's it. Like, you may not be able to get everything you want perfectly. So
No. Yeah, that's just the reality for Miami right now. You are trying to sell on a player that you should have sold on over the summer if you didn't want to pay him. Should have traded him back in the summer if you didn't want to pay him now on this next contract, and now you've got a mess to deal with. I think they move on from him. As far as the most likely big trade still to happen, so there's two things to that. And number one, it's the names we've heard, right? It's Jimmy, it's Brandon Ingram, maybe Kevin Durant. Maybe we see a Miami Phoenix swap there again. If I was Miami, I would love that. That would be phenomenal. However, I will also say this: the Luka trade, I think, really did change things, and it made a lot of teams suddenly say, "Oh, maybe our preconceived notions were not correct. Let's revisit some of the guys that we previously thought were unavailable." So I'm not saying something crazy is going to happen, but I think the environment is tilting a little bit more in that direction towards something that we thought would never happen going down before the trade deadline. It seems like we're living in a world now, the post-Luka trade world, where teams are going to consider stuff that maybe they wouldn't have previously, and that could lead to another RKO out of nowhere surprise. Whoa, that guy got traded there. Why? Just something that we don't see coming at all.
Yeah, well,
which would be great.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Like, who knows, man? I'm kind of interested to see if anything like that happens. But I do think that there are ripple effects from that trade that nobody ever would have expected. It's crazy. So that's probably true. People are telling us about the Jonas thing. We saw that. That was actually the first thing we covered.
We talked about it off the top. Dalton Connect and picks for Walker Kessler. We've talked about that forever. My guess would be that if Dalton Connect and picks would get it done for Walker Kessler, the Lakers would do that. But obviously, it's not something that the Jazz want to do right now. And I do think the Jazz is Danny Ainge annoyed that he participated in a trade that devalued the Lakers 2027 first to a degree.
Is there any chance he's like, nah, screw you guys. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. You guys totally swindled me. All that stuff. Put me in this deal. Yeah, maybe.
I don't think he wants to get to get the Lakers any better at this point in 2027.
Yeah. I was going to say, maybe he feels some kind of way about that. He's actually been a pretty willing partner for the Lakers over the last few years, despite the Celtic ties with Ainge, of course. So they went back to him again, and he was able to help them complete something. But at this point, giving Kessler to the Lakers post-Luka, it really devalues that last pick that you'd be getting. Yeah. And I'd imagine that last pick, now that it's already devalued, assuming Luka stays, is just not enough. The Dalton plus picks, I don't know what that looks like because you don't have picks to offer.
You've got the 2031 pick. You've got the
swap
top four protection, a swap, the second rounder. That's it. And I would offer that if I'm the Lakers, but I wouldn't expect.
Based on the previous discussion, that wasn't enough previously. They were making it sound like they wanted the pick that the Lakers just traded, plus 31, plus protections, plus a swap, and it still wasn't enough.
And remember, the Jazz have that 2027 first from the Lakers, so they have no interest in helping the Lakers get better, which has probably played a role in making sure that Ainge did not know what the Lakers were doing and the Mavs were doing on the other end of that trade until the last possible.
Is there any chance that, like I said, he's been a pretty willing trade participant? Is there any chance that he doesn't deal with them again anytime soon? Even if
he would, if the right teams let bygones be. If the right deal was there, they would do it. And look, here's the other thing: Ainge wasn't going to stop that trade from happening. They had, in case Ainge was not happy or whatever, they had backups in place. That's my understanding. So they would have sent Jalen Hood-Schifino somewhere else if Ainge said, well, no, screw you. I'm not helping you get better and ruining and lessening the value of the 2027 pick. But at that point, if you're Ainge, the Lakers and the Mavs have other teams they can turn to. So why deny getting, I thought it was great value. They got a couple of second round picks just for taking on half a year of Jalen Hood-Schifino's salary. That's phenomenal value for the Jazz. So they were getting a good deal, and they knew that them saying no wasn't going to stop the trade from going through. It was going to go to somebody else. So Yeah, it's not what the Jazz would want to see happen, but they still got a good deal out of it.
You can also spin it and say he made out like a bandit. Remember, you said he was the winner of the deal. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, to get 2 seconds for what? I think he spent maybe like 1.6 million.
Yeah, half the
like that's great value.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great value. Let's see. Brandon, no update on Wood. Yeah, that came out of Lakers practice today. No update whatsoever on Christian Wood. This is the big mystery now. Where is he at? What's going on? Trade him with Cam and a second-round pick for Day'Ron Sharpe, or try to do something with Kleba. Yeah, I mean, it's my understanding from what I have heard that a second-round pick would get it done for Day'Ron Sharpe.
A second-round pick for Day'Ron?
A second-round pick, yes.
But so the tricky thing is that's what their last second-round pick?
That's their last second-round
That's
pick.
probably the holdup with that. They like to get some guys in their system too.
And they would like to have somebody who is the starter. And I don't think that's what Day'Ron is at this stage in his career. Mm-hmm. He's a talented player and he's interesting for sure. But you know what? If it's the clock's ticking and tomorrow I've got an hour left on the timer or something, maybe I do that. And go. I mean, could I put together Wood and Cam Reddish in a second and turn it into Day'Ron Sharpe? I would do that if I'm the Lakers.
Yeah. It's not like you can't recoup the seconds. The Wiseman in the chat is saying that you can buy it like that. That's a pretty common thing. Although I will say, second round picks have weird value. Like they've seemingly turned into this. I don't know. You put a bunch of them together and it equals, a first round pick or something like that lately, where you put all these picks in. So maybe they have a little more value than they used to.
There's two reasons for that. There's two reasons why that has suddenly been a thing where second round picks suddenly seem to have more value, and why we're starting to see differentiation between early second rounders and late second rounders. We're starting to hear the term good second, right? A good second round pick. For one, it's with the new CBA. It's all the more important that teams have a constant influx of young players because teams are having to make difficult decisions with veterans. We saw it with Clay. We saw it with Paul George. Now, perhaps maybe the Mavs with Luka. They have to make some difficult decisions in order to keep their cap sheets a little bit cleaner, and they're having to offload veteran salaries and have a constant stream of young players on cheaper contracts. That's number one. Number two is that we also see certain teams are just hoarding all the first round picks, right? You've got OKC, San Antonio has a bunch of them, right? You've got certain clubs hoarding somebody. There's just not that many firsts out there that are available to actually acquire. So teams are saying, well, okay, we want to get a first for this guy. Nobody's got him. I guess we'll take multiple seconds. And so it's those two things combining to create what we've seen, where now we're seeing teams stack up 2, 3, 4 second round picks to get deals done.
Yeah, and it also seems like maybe there's a bit more talent in the second round these days too.
True.
Where you can maybe find something, So I think more people are trying to take flyers on those guys too. So anyway, it's not as I understand why they may be a little skeptical or a little unwilling to come off of a second round pick. But like you were saying, if you have to do it, I think you could do that. I think the next thing for them, if they were to do this, would be to maybe try to clear a spot somewhere, which is hard to do, by the way, because you don't have that second round pick if you do this to clear a spot, because there's also that. I think Koloko's been good on the year. Also, Jemison is hilarious. Like that guy, he's like a brick wall out there.
That dunk he threw down was insane.
I saw somebody try to push him on a rebound and he did not move.
No. He just stands there. He's like the juggernaut out there. This is doing a move for Day'Ron Sharpe could clear a spot. I mean, if it's because to stack salaries, because Day'Ron's almost at $4 million. If it's say Wood and Cam Reddish, there you go. There's a roster spot. So that's something to consider. Can Jericho Sims be interesting for the Lakers as a backup? Sure.
Yeah, I think that's where it's at. Like Rob was saying, it doesn't sound like they have the ability to go get the starting guy right now. So
I mean, there's a reason why the Knicks are looking for a big, and they're looking to potentially move Jericho Sims. You know what I mean? I mean, think about that.
That's true.
That's not ideal.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's go here. Many people online saying it'll be Luka's team now and Braun will be second, so his ego won't be able to take it. Then I'm like, what When Braun was with AD, he kept saying it was AD's team and he was the best player. Yeah. I think, look, and not everybody's going to follow specifically the Lakers like every single game and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not worried about any of that stuff.
Well, it's just people that are following narratives.
Yeah.
That's all it really is. I don't think people like there's a whole like it's the whole like, don't play off ball, they're not going to fit together stuff.
Right.
And that stuff doesn't make any sense to me, but that's the narrative stuff. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think he cares. I mean, he said they asked him, do you feel some kind of way about the franchise basically looking towards the future, to paraphrase, and he said, what's wrong with that? Like he's like, I don't think he feels that he kind of like I think you had a good point on your show where you said if anybody could be secure in that, in who they are and not have to feel some kind of way, it's LeBron. So
it's LeBron.
His ego is fine.
Is it possible to acquire both Kessler and Sharpe? No. I would say no. I would say if you can get Kessler, you're going to have to give everything to get Kessler. Everything you can.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just talking about that, but yeah, I don't think there's any way to do that. Speaking of LeBron, Luka, did you see the videos of them in practice?
I did. Yeah, exciting stuff.
I can't wait to see them play. I'm going to be really excited about that. That first like Luka LeBron lob is going to straighten the veins, man.
Dude, I'm excited to see that, and it's looking like it's probably going to be Saturday. Especially, I don't know if you saw, but
yeah, the flexing.
They flexed the game to national TV. So, like JJ Redick clarified after practice, like, well, probably Saturday, but if not, then maybe Monday. Yeah, ESPN is moving their nationally televised game to be that one. It's going to be Saturday.
It's Saturday.
It's going to be Saturday. They know. Yep, they know. A lot of prices will come down tomorrow. Oh, LeBron's going to play for another 4 years. This moved on me right when I tried to click on it. I was trying to click on this one. A lot of prices will come down tomorrow. Yeah, they already are today. Those conversations are taking place. So here's what I'm expecting. We get a few deals, maybe tonight, maybe a few first thing in the morning, and then we'll see a quiet, like a calm before the storm, right? And that's where everybody's hunkered down working. And then about an hour, 2 hours before the buzzer, it'll pick up again. And it'll go boom, 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 boom. We'll get a bunch of moves as everybody gets their business taken care of.
Yeah. The Fox trade was worth it. Now that we've got Val, we turned De'Aaron into Levine and Jonas. That's a win in my book. What do you think about that?
De'Aaron into Levine and Jonas. It depends on how Zach LaVine's a good player. There's no question. Mm-hmm. The picks that the Kings got, they're not great first round picks. But Levine is the bulk of what you get here. I don't particularly love the fit, but I know a lot of people that I respect are not as worried about it as I am with Zach LaVine.
I'm not worried about it because I think it's mostly.
I don't mind it.
I think it's about as lateral as you could get. Like I don't expect them to get worse or anything.
Yeah, and I think Malik Monk's playmaking is going to be critical here. I think the Kings can still very much make a playoff push. They certainly have the ability to go off on any team at any given night. Still, they have the offensive capability to do that for sure. So, typically in a trade like this, you want to get a bunch of young, talented players and build up around that. But given the specific parameters the Kings were looking for, yeah, I think they did about as well as you could have hoped in this one.
Yeah, I keep saying that they don't want to rebuild. They just they can't really because the other players like Sabonis, but they don't want to organizationally do that. So if the next best thing is to not get crazy better, but get lateral, then that's fine. What I will say is it's not like De'Aaron was a savant on the defensive end, but adding Levine and Jonas, they are going to be a turnstile. You're gonna be able to score 150 points on that team.
Yeah, but they're gonna try to put up 155.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. They're gonna try to outscore you every night. It's gonna be some fun basketball.
It should be.
To be fair, that's what they've been the last couple of years anyway, though, right? They've been mostly we're gonna try to outscore you.
They've been better defensively though than people give them credit for. But yes, in general, they're more of an offensive focused team.
Yeah. I mean, they had the best offense in NBA history a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
but that's a sliding scale.
Blazers making a trade or standing pat. I mean, everything we've heard about the Blazers to me feels like their asking prices are still too high, and teams will pivot to other options, like wanting a unprotected first for Robert Williams. Like, I just don't see a team given that. And then Jeremy Grant hasn't had a great season. I think they have reason to make moves. I think there's motive for the Blazers to make moves. Just feels like the asking prices are high right now compared to the market. Still time for those to come down. And if so, then they probably will have some interested teams. They've also, have you seen, they've been playing really well lately.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the Blazers over? The Blazers are 9-1 over their last 10. They've won 5 in a row.
For no reason.
For no reason.
For no reason.
It's like the Raptors. The Raptors went on this win streak, and Raptors fans are like, "What are you doing? You're ruining everything."
Like we said repeatedly, the best outcome for a team like that is to play perfectly, go down to the wire, and lose by 1 point. I mean, I do like it to establish a culture a little bit for some of the younger guys there. I like that.
You can only lose so much, but look at this. They beat Milwaukee, they beat Orlando, they beat Phoenix twice. They crushed Indy. Like, some good things going on there with Portland, but I would still be trying to pivot off of some of the older players, move to some younger players, and go from there if I'm Portland.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to get rid of the older guys there. I saw that the asking price for Rob is also an unprotected first.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You're not serious asking for that. You're absolutely not.
You're saying you don't want to make a trade.
Exactly. There's no way you're going to get that. So asking prices will go down tomorrow, but I wonder how much of their roster is like that. So maybe there is a chance they stay pat. Because maybe they got several guys that have been asked about and talked about, but they're asking for ludicrous prices. Yeah,
that's certainly possible. That is absolutely possible. Wood upgraded to game time decision. I didn't see anything on that. And again, JJ said he had no update on him. Does Jimmy actually get moved, and where? I still say he winds up with the Warriors, and it seems like that's the way this is starting to go. But again, if I'm Miami and I have any way to turn Jimmy Butler into Kevin Durant, I would like to do that if I am the Heat.
Jimmy Butler into KD if you're Miami? Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'd do that. That could be interesting. I don't know if it really pushes them anywhere, but it could be a fun move. Maybe getting Pat Riley's black magic to work on those Heat role players. Maybe something can happen.
Did you see Pat Riley is he's raking in the cash here ahead of the Super Bowl? Because the three-peat thing, he's got the trademark on three-peat.
I didn't know he had the trademark on that.
Yeah, he did that back in the 80s.
He's smart.
He's very smart by Pat Riley. And now you've got first the NFL worked a deal with him so they can use the term, and now the Kansas City Chiefs are trying to come to terms with Pat Riley for the use of it. So Pat Riley making some shrewd moves out there, slicking back the hair, saying call me Gordon Gekko.
Yeah, he said, nah, I'm not dealing with the Jimmy drama right now. I'm worrying about getting this paper.
He's like, I'm going to get myself paid.
I don't need the Jimmy drama.
Oh, let's go here. Something like pick swaps and cash for Cody Martin, and then Wood and Cam in a second for Day'Ron. Pick swap and cash for Cody Martin. With Maxi Kleber. Yeah, the Lakers are looking to see what they can do with Maxi Kleber's contract. They'd like to see what they can get for him. $11 million this season, I believe the same next season. And then Cody Martin. Yeah, I mean, get another wing. That certainly wouldn't be opposed to seeing them do that. And then Wood, Cam in a second for Day'Ron. I would do that. It's not like it's the home run. Okay, all your problems at center are solved, but he's a young player. He's talented. He's got physicality to him. If I could turn a second Christian Wood and Cam Reddish into Day'Ron Sharpe, I would do that all day.
Yeah, I think that Day'Ron would be somebody that they should try to be getting right now. We talked about it before. They should have tried to loop him into the previous deal, but weren't able to do so. I guess we missed this one from Spacey. So Nets, Cam, Wood, second, Jazz, Sharpe again. 31 first, and Kessler for LA.
So that it'd be a 3-team trade with the Jazz getting Day'Ron Sharpe plus the first. So it would be basically what you're doing is the Jazz would say we would rather have Day'Ron Sharpe than the second round pick. Because otherwise we've been talking about the second, the 2031 first, take the protections off of the 2027 first, all of that going to Utah. You'd be taking the second plus contracts, turning it into Day'Ron Sharpe, routing that to Utah. I mean, I would do that too if I'm the outcome is still the same. I would do that too.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. If you're able to pull it off, sure, go for it. Call it in right now.
Yeah. Let's go here. Robert Williams and Kamara. I don't know that they want to move on from Toumani Kamara, the Blazers. Separate trade, Matisse Thybulle for Kleba for a pick swap. Matisse Thybulle has not played yet this season. He's been dealing with an ankle sprain all season long. So that's the problem there. What would it take for the Lakers to get Clint Capella? Probably stacking up Rui's contract. And you know what? Like, Rui has gotten better and better, especially over the last month. I think there is a talent deficit going from Rui to Capella. Like, I think Rui's the better player, and that's something the Lakers would have to consider.
Yeah, it's more about what do you need, I guess, if they were to make that trade. Rui's kind of been balling lately.
Oh, we got a little news here. Nothing major, but Dan Woike, my opinion, he said it's his opinion, after talking to scouts and execs, the most logical option for the deadline for the Lakers is Day'Ron Sharpe. Tough-nosed rebounder, final year of the deal, and gives the Lakers options at center along with Theis. Deal would likely need a third team. So there you go.
It's funny. We've been talking about that the entire time.
Yep. And it makes sense. And again, like I said, I heard last night a second rounder would get it done. There we go.
For who, though? For what?
Yeah, and why a third team?
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe the third team is paying the pick.
Maybe.
But I'm curious as to what the Lakers would be sending out in that case. We didn't finish on the Rui piece. Yeah, Rui's been balling. I'm not trading him for anything under. Like, the tricky thing with Rui is I feel like teams are undervaluing him. They've been undervaluing him since he got that new deal. Part of it's because he got paid off of that crazy blistering hot playoff run a couple years ago. Which is fair, but he's been really good over the last 2 years. He does have his faults. He can get a bit spacey. He's not great on the perimeter. But one thing I'll say about him is, and he's not a great rebounder either. Doesn't have the quickest feet, but he can shoot the hell out of the ball, man. He's really turned into a sniper. And he is also able to get to his spots and shoot over people from the mid-range. He's a good finisher. He doesn't have the best hands sometimes. Like, he does have his faults. And he also is good positionally defensively in a switch scheme, as we've seen over the last few games. As long as he's not getting switched onto like a guard or something like that, he's been really, stretching out, using those limbs, that long wingspan he has. And lastly, he's good in terms of guarding up. He's one of the stronger guys in the roster, can kind of guard up a little bit. And they've been looking really good when they're going to these 3-4 wing lineups, and Rui is not getting exposed or targeted or anything like that specifically. So I'm selling pretty high on him. Like I said, if they're making that trade, it's because there's a positional need that they just can't ignore. Yeah. And the way that this team has looked without AD the last couple games, it's not like it's crazy sustainable or anything. And you do still have a concern about certain matchups in the West or East, depending on who you play. But I don't know that you absolutely have to gut your roster to force trade somebody.
Now, so I do think when you look at a trade for like Rui or somebody like that, yeah, if another team's not valuing him, the Lakers are going to, and so that's going to make it a little difficult to try to ultimately make a deal in those situations. And that's where I could see the Lakers just saying, no, we want to hang on to him. We're going to keep him. And especially the way they've been playing the last few games, they've managed to mitigate not having a big out there. Again, like you said, not going to work all the time. But if they can continue to do that and have that be an option, I think they'd rather preserve that and make a smaller move. Unless, of course, it's something, Miles Turner suddenly becomes okay, then you're probably trading Rui. Otherwise, am I moving Rui to get Clint Capella? Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. Would you rather have Cam or Torrey Craig? I mean, Cam at least could play. Yeah, Cam Reddish.
Oh, okay.
But he's suggesting you could waive Cam Reddish and sign Torrey Craig, who got bought out or got cut. But you have to remember too, you still have to pay Cam.
Yeah.
His money sits on your books. So you got to remember that too.
Yeah. Craig's not played this year, really. He's played 9 games.
Yeah, hasn't played that much.
The only thing is, I think Cam is the better defender.
Yeah.
And probably a better defensive playmaker. He's a nice approximation of Ando. The way he gets in the passing lanes, can kind of do some of those things in terms of Cam. But Craig is the better shooter, and I don't think it's particularly all that close either.
Yeah.
So I guess if you needed that, then like Craig shot 39% the last 2 years.
Is it enough though to where as the last guy on your bench, you're worried in any way? You like, are you incentivized in any way to pay extra money to turn Cam into Torrey Craig?
No, I wouldn't do that. And for the record, Craig's like what, 7 years older or something like that. Like that's another piece of it too. Like I'm not doing that. I wouldn't.
A lot of people asking about Rob Williams. You would think they'll go all in on Rob Williams. He's only making $12 million. We could trade Wood or Reddish with Kleba and a pick. You can't actually combine any salaries with Maxi Kleba because he can't be re-aggregated in a trade. He can only be traded by himself. So that's one of the challenges for the Lakers if they're trying to trade for Rob Williams or someone like that.
We never talked about Theis.
Daniel Theis. So let's talk about him. So Daniel Theis got sent from the Pelicans over to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the Pelicans, I believe, actually attached draft capital to him. The reason why they did this, and it's not that OKC necessarily needs him. This is just OKC hoarding picks again. They want all the picks. But OKC is below the tax, and so they have the ability to take on a little bit of salary. So that's what they're doing here. And then for the Pelicans, this drops them below the luxury tax line, which is huge. I mean, they were only over by a little over $1 million. But so not only do you save that $1 million, you don't pay tax on that $1 million+ that they were over. Plus, by dropping below the tax line, you now get the tax payment distribution, which means all the teams that are paying into the tax, that money gets divvied up and sent out to all the non-tax paying teams. So what that means is the net for the Pelicans is probably going to be plus 18 million or so, just for getting Daniel Theis off their roster. That is well worth. I don't care how much money you got. Getting 18 million for maybe burning a second round pick to get Daniel Theis off their roster, that is well worth it to do that.
When you put it like that, it makes it sound like it's much crazier than when the teams, spend like 500,000 or whatever for a second round pick or something like that. Yeah. Like it's crazy when you put it like that. Do you think there's any value in terms of having him on the Thunder going forward? Like, you think they'll turn to him at all? He could shoot a little bit, pass a little bit undersized, kind of defend a little bit. He's kind of like a jack of all trades, Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, he gives you a little bit more shooting than like Isaiah Hartenstein does, but I would fully expect like Jalen Williams, Isaiah Hartenstein, of course, Chet, they're all playing in front of him. This is more about getting draft capital than actually getting the player for the Thunder.
Yeah. By the way, record 4,000 live with us today.
Let's go. Hey, anybody who's not a subscriber yet, hit the subscribe button. Turn on those notifications as well, but hit that subscribe button as we push for 17,000 subscribers here. Help us get there. Hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, we are right there. So thanks, guys. We really appreciate it.
On the cusp.
Hit that thumbs up as well.
Let's go here. Is there really not a single team interested in Beal? Crazy that KD is getting forced out because of a terrible trade last summer. I mean, why? I can't imagine why a team would be interested in Beal.
Yeah, I mean, I jokingly said the Warriors, but they're like the only team I think could have potentially been interested because they were out there thirsty for all the stars. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fine player. Don't get me wrong. He's not like, would you consider him a star?
He makes star money.
Well, yeah, he gets paid like a star.
How many times has he even been an all-star? Like a couple times?
He's been an all-star. Well, he was in the East for a while too. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't, by the way.
Yeah. I wouldn't put him in that tier, but he's making $50 million. So if he was making $30 million and didn't have a no trade clause, this is a very different conversation. But he's not. He's making 50 and he's got 2 more years on his deal, including a player option, and he has a no trade clause. So you've got negative value in terms of the contract itself. And then on top of that, you add a no trade. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot to battle against.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I think he's a really good player. I mean, he can get you buckets anytime. He's actually a little better on defense than he gets credit for, but
Sure.
he's just not worth 50 million.
No.
Trade the no trade aside, he's just not worth 50 million. But you got to go back a few years and think about the situation Washington was in with him. And the fact that also Phoenix just said, screw all that. We're going to make this trade anyway. When everyone was like, why are you doing this? Like, for what reason? So,
I think Matt Ishbia came in. He said, hey, I'm going to throw the money around.
Yeah.
And we're going to win right away because I don't need to learn anything. This is the NBA. I'm going to spend my way to the top. Right as the NBA was creating a CBA designed specifically to prevent teams from spending their way to the top.
Yep.
I don't know. Kind of a mess in Phoenix right now. We'll see. They should be better than they are right now. I think they're still dangerous any given night. But on top of all of it, like I get why teams aren't interested in Bradley Beal. But also it may not even if there are teams interested in Bradley Beal, it doesn't matter if Bradley Beal doesn't want to leave. That's it.
Yeah, that's true. Tech said KD pushed for it. Correct. Yeah, I remember the reporting that KD was on board with it. So maybe that's part of it too. But like, you know, if you're Ishbia, James Jones is still the GM, right? You just got to say, hell no. We're not doing this. Like you can't say yes.
Ryan says rich person problems, but the Lakers are in a conundrum. They need to give up rotation guys to get a real center, but they kind of need all their guys. Yep. And that's why they're trying to do something with Maxi Kleber, because he's not. It would be removing somebody who's probably not going to play for you at all during the regular season. It may be barely before the end of the right. Maybe best case scenario, like 5 games left or something, he might become available. So that's why they'd look to move off of Kleber right now, and then you're just making an addition to your roster without taking anything away.
Yeah, and I don't know that they're able to get a really, really big guy, because there's been a lot of chats about how big Day'Ron is. He's just 6'9", things like that. Like, I don't think that they're able to get a really big guy to kind of get in there, which is one of the main things this team needs. They don't necessarily need another 6'9" center, but if he's the best option available for cheap, then he would be all right. And he'd also be if you were in theory able to get him specifically right now, and then in the offseason get your long-term piece, then I think that's setting you up for success, of course. So as opposed to trying to get them both in the offseason, because you would need a starter, you would need a backup. So
for sure. All right, let's go here. Could they make room for Koloko? Yes, they could. They would have to waive somebody to do it, though. Or pay somebody to take on a salary, which with just 1 second-round pick left, I probably wouldn't do that. Akash said, not gonna lie, I'm excited to see LeBron's handshake with Luka.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they'll come up with something.
Yeah. That's gonna be dope. I wonder what they'll have.
Jalen Smith with Kleber in a second. Sure. If he's available, sure. Why not? Johnny Test, Lonzo makes more sense for Memphis, Minnesota, or Detroit. Oh, that's interesting. Do you think, just in general, do you think a team should be a buyer on Lonzo Ball right now?
Has he been playing recently?
Yeah. Played last
night.
Been
on the street.
He's been okay. He's been okay. He's not looked like himself fully, but he's not. He's still got size. He still can defend. You know, occasionally hit it. Didn't shoot well last night, but can knock down a jumper.
Yeah. Well, I know what he is. I just don't know if he's healthy, and that's maybe the main concern for him, is how much are you going to invest in that? And in terms of fit, I think that's a tricky question, because I don't know that any of those teams particularly need him. But if I were to choose one, maybe it is Detroit.
Well,
maybe.
And Detroit has $14 million in cap space that they now kind of need to burn. So this is that'll be interesting. Because you could take a smaller salary than most teams, and you could still get Lonzo. I'm trying to figure out who that would be, though. That's the problem. Is like, who do you want to give up in order to get him? Detroit would make some sense, though, especially with the injury to Jaden Ivey. But Lonzo could fit a lot of places.
Yeah,
Memphis, do you want to try to flip like Marcus Smart or something? I wouldn't trade Smart just for Lonzo, but Smart's been injured a bunch too and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's
and there was also that report that they're gonna maybe hang on to Lonzo. So I don't know that they would be interested in re-signing him.
Well, I think what that was spin. Yeah, because every team, and I'm not saying that they were lying, because I do think there's always that chance that it's just totally on the level, and yeah, they want to bring him back and everything. But every team in all of NBA history that has ever, before the trade deadline, had word get out that they might buy out a player has immediately said, no, we wouldn't consider a buyout.
Yeah.
Because all that does is crush your market if teams know you're going to buy the guy out. So every team is going to say, nope, we're not buying him out. Instead, we're going to keep him. And then a few weeks later, well, we changed our mind. Actually, since we couldn't move him at the deadline, we're going to buy him out. So that's a pretty normal thing. I wouldn't necessarily just accept that as gospel. It could be 100% on the level, but they also have every reason, even if that is 100% not true, even if they are 100% planning to buy him out, they have every reason to say that they are not.
Yeah. If I'm an opposing GM, though, I'm just waiting you out on that. We'll see.
Yeah.
How long until the deadline? What's that? 21 hours?
21 hours. 21 hours. Considering the new Laker look, Chris Boucher for Maxey and that second round pick would help the team. Sure. Yeah. If that's something Toronto was interested in doing.
Yeah. Since Maxey can't give you anything this year, you can flip him. There's always also that piece where you could hold him until the summer and put him into another bigger deal. So
as you would have like 40 million in expirings then. Yeah. Austin Milton and a first for Walker Kessler and Clarkson. I don't think the Lakers want to give up Austin Reeves. I think they really want to see what Austin, Luka, LeBron look like together.
Do you think the Jazz want Austin?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they do. I think he'd do very well there.
Yeah, I do. I was just asking.
Yeah. Yeah. Gabe Wood, protected first-round pick for Robert Williams, one of Murray, Walker, Reith, Banton. That's interesting. Rob Williams and one of those guys. Then Maxey, second-round pick to Chicago for one of their point guards. Otherwise, Maxey, second-round pick for Sharpe, Zaire. Well, that's a lot of salary if it's Maxey for Sharpe, right? Like, or if you're getting both of them, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I'm just not. I don't want to give up a first for, if I'm any team, I don't want to give up a first, even if it's protected for Robert Williams. I know he can be good, but I mean, here, look, I want to show everybody what you're signing up for with Rob, and the Blazers have reason to be careful with them and all of that. But like, this isn't just, oh, he tends to get injured every now and then. This is his game log. That's Robert Williams' game log.
There's a lot of DNPs.
That's a lot of games where he didn't play. And again, the Blazers have reason to be careful with him and all that. But look, I mean, he played 24 minutes last night, 11 boards, right? 2 blocks. This dude is good. 3 assists. He's a good player. But he didn't play for 2 weeks before that. Then he played a game, missed a game, played 2 games, missed a game, played 2 games, missed 3 games, played a game, missed 3 more games, played a game, missed 3 games. Like, I don't want to sign up for that, especially if the cost is a first-round pick.
Is there any value in any of the other guys, like a Banton maybe? But also, it's a protected first, so maybe.
Yeah,
but like we were talking about earlier, if it was an unprotected first or something, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Oh no, no way.
Not at all.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. All right, let's go. Kings are in a good spot with a chance to make a major move if they're thinking about trading a player like Keegan Murray along with other assets. You're right, but for years they have resisted trading. For as long as he's been on the team, the Kings have said, nope, we're not trading Keegan. So
even when he was playing poorly earlier to start the year, that was something that was talked about, and they still were not able. They were not doing it. So
they weren't. Yeah, they were not having it. Crazy said challenge trade with the Hornets. Connect Reddish for Williams and Curry. For Mark Williams, Williams is a solid center, but can't stay healthy. He also has trouble staying in front of people defensively, but he can be a good center. I think the Lakers would lean towards the upside of Dalton Connect rather than do this. That would be my guess.
Yeah, that's probably the case. Williams could be fun, but yeah, he's not exactly the defensive backline that you need.
Are you saying Keegan is untouchable? No, don't hear what I'm not saying.
Is anybody actually untouchable anymore?
No, because Luka should have been pretty high on that list of untouchable players.
He's
right?
He's about as untouchable as anybody else in the league. But
yep.
you know, I still do think there's a few guys, but you know.
Flash Hawk. Oh yeah, like I have to imagine that Wemby guy isn't getting traded anytime soon.
Or Jokic, or a couple guys.
Yeah, a few of them. LA gets Duren, Detroit gets Kessler and Cam, Utah gets Dalton Connect and the first. If I'm doing all of this, if I'm the Lakers, I'm taking Kessler for myself rather than turning him into Jalen Duren.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd rather have Kessler than Duren. I like Duren just fine, but I'd rather have Kessler.
But I'd agree with that. I guess it depends on what's going out in terms of draft capital, right? Because Utah's getting the 31 and a second, and then Detroit's first.
Yeah, Detroit 27 first. Well, yeah, I guess you're getting them 2 first, but
to get Durant.
So maybe that's what it is here.
Yeah.
Detroit is kicking in a first to turn Duren into.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
Kessler. That makes
sense.
They're
getting DK out of it. This made me.
Beal is untouchable. Well, I mean, technically you're right, just in the inverse.
You know who's actually untouchable? Bronny. Bronny's the most untouchable player in the NBA right now.
I made a joke about that. If I am Danny Ainge and Rob Pelinka is calling and saying, "I want what do you want for Walker Kessler?" I'm telling him I want Dalton Connect, all your picks, and I want Bronny just because I feel like it. Just to see how that would play out and what would happen.
He's gonna be like, Danny, we can't give you Bronny. Come on, man.
Call LeBron and ask if he will sacrifice his son in order to get Walker Kessler.
Oh my God.
That's what Danny Ainge would do. Do you think Luka changes the matchup against the Nuggets, assuming we add like a Day'Ron Sharpe or something like that? I mean, yeah, like that's another perimeter player the Nuggets have to account for that they didn't before. So it definitely changes the matchup. Does it change it in that suddenly the Lakers beat the Nuggets? I don't know. We'll have to see how all of that plays out. But yes, the matchup is now way different. Everything is way different with Luka on the Lakers.
It's an entirely different look, scheme, and adjustment that they'll have to make to playing against Luka and LeBron versus LeBron and AD. And it's not to say better or worse. It's just very different. So
Luka pressure equals LeBron pressure. He wants to win now. Yep. He definitely does. He made that clear with his statements last night. I find playoffs matchups versus the Mavs better than Denver. Would the Mavs take down the Nuggets?
It's a lot. The only problem I have with them is I think they could use another high level creator.
Yeah.
Like if I'm them, they probably should have found a way to try to sneak Austin in this deal. I think that really helps. You think so?
I think they did, and Rob said no. I think because
if that was one of the things that he talked them off, then yeah. Because I think that wouldn't have really been like, oh my God, they got Austin, so now everything's okay. But I think they could really use another high level creator because the ball's in Kyrie's hands most of the time. They're going to rely on Dinwiddie and who's the other guy? Is it
Jaden Hardy?
Hardy he's more of like his own. He creates for himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they could maybe use that other than because with AD, with Lively, Gafford, those guys, they need to be set up to a degree. AD to a lesser extent, of course, but they need to be set up to a degree. So I don't really know. I think the defense is going to be amazing though.
Oh, so yeah. It should be great.
It's a rock fight defensively.
It should be great. And Max Christie was great last night for the Mavs.
He was, man. They didn't pass him the ball after that clutch 3. I was watching. They didn't pass him the ball at the end. In fact, wasn't in Najee Marshall. It was a 1-on-2 fast break, and he went for the layup instead of passing it back to Max right there. I'm like, oh, the sabotage, man.
Dick move. How crazy would it be to have a Lakers Mavs Western Conference Finals? Oh, ESPN would love that.
Yeah.
The drama would be fun. Johnny Test said, "Oh, I asked because reports are saying those 3 teams are interested in Lonzo." Going back to that Lonzo question, I would lean Detroit as being the best fit, but I don't know that he changes a lot right now.
Yeah.
Steven Adams is a beast. Any chance for the Lake Show? The reporting was that the Rockets and the Lakers were far apart in that conversation, which means the Lakers, math-wise, they can't offer Kleba, so it would have been like a Gabe Vincent-based deal. And then, given that they're far apart, the Lakers don't really have a lot of stuff to put into a trade to plus up their offer. I'm assuming the Lakers were offering Gabe Vincent and their 1 second, and the Rockets said, no, we need Gabe Vincent and your 1 first. And there's a huge gap between the value on those 2 things. And so that would explain what. Again, that's my guess, but I think that's probably what happened. And you're not giving up a first, obviously, for Steven Adams.
No, not happening.
Be great to get him, but no. Assuming the Lakers had Day'Ron Sharpe, how do you think they would fare in a playoff matchup with Denver? Do you think Luka could change the outcome? We kind of just talked about that one.
Yeah.
Sure, he definitely could change it. And Denver's not Denver from a few years ago, but they still match up very, very well with the Lakers and could cause a lot of problems. And Jamal Murray suddenly turns into a completely different player whenever he's playing against the Lakers. So
I do think that them having to account for another big perimeter initiator is going to be interesting because normally they're able to just put Gordon on LeBron or things like that. But who are you putting on Luka in that case?
True.
Is it Russ?
Oh, God, that'd be fun. It probably is because Russ does defend up quite a bit.
Like, I'm serious. Like, is it Russ?
Yeah, probably.
Like, I don't, because it's not basically anybody else. Maybe Braun. I don't. So I think that's where it's a little bit different.
Yeah. Can the Lakers get cap space to sign Nickeil Alexander-Walker? So what you'd be looking at is, I mean, like if LeBron walked away or something, yes. And even then it would depend on how much Alexander Walker would be getting in free agency. Probably the most likely path, and I don't know that this would work, but the most likely path would be LeBron once again puts forth that offer to take less money in order to open up a mid-level exception for the Lakers. They were not able to capitalize on that last year. If he does it again and you can get Alexander Walker for mid-level exception money, that would be your path to getting him. I'm not saying that's a likely scenario, just saying that's probably your best shot to get that done.
I do wonder if he's going to give them that opportunity again this offseason.
He might.
I do wonder.
Yeah,
I bet he will. I think he will.
Especially with the rumors that next year might be his last year.
Yeah, I think he will.
He's going to want everything he can get.
Any chance he just takes a 1-year minimum? He's just like, you know what? Screw it. I'll do a minimum for this last year of my deal.
I mean, maybe if it means like Kyrie shows up or something like that. Deonta said Luka doesn't want to hear about a 3 to 5 year plan. He's been to 2 West Finals. He's then traded. He's not Wemby. He wants what's GB ASAP?
He wants to get back, I guess.
Get back ASAP. Stop trying to trade his second and third options. What are we talking about? Trying to trade Austin and stuff like that?
Maybe that's because I said that they should have tried to get Austin in the deal. Maybe I don't think that you have to. I personally think Austin's going to thrive on the team as the third creator. I think he's going to thrive.
Yeah,
it's not going to look much different than it did for him previously. It's not where this year is a little different because the ball was in his hands. Like you could tell they entered this year with a very clear goal of making Austin the point guard. And
yes,
honestly, from the very first game, that was at the expense of D'Angelo. But last year, D'Angelo was the guy with the ball in his hands more, and Austin was the second creator. And the roles were reversed, and Austin was really good. So I don't think it's really going to change much for Austin. I think he's still going to get his, and I think you want to have a third creator on your team.
I agree. I think it's something you can certainly use. Let's go. We got a couple minutes. We'll go into a few more of these comments. By the way, again, everybody, if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please do hit the subscribe button, as we're pushing for 17,000 subscribers right now. Working to get there. Let's go. Do you think a running center, rim running center is more ideal, or a sturdy playmaking but less athletic center like Pirtle? I think the first one, the rim runner, is like the JaVale McGee archetype. You know who would be great? Jared Allen.
Oh,
wouldn't he be great?
Oh,
not that he's available, or just that type of player.
He's not. But is he the best rim running center in the league right now? Just purely
he's
that
up there.
Like because off the top of my head, I can't think of. Maybe there's somebody else I'm not thinking of course. But off the top of my head, he may be the best of that archetype in the league right now.
He might be.
But somebody like that, or I don't know, like a life
Claxton.
Nice.
I would put Jared Allen ahead of Claxton.
Yeah,
Mobley, who's also on the Cavs with him. Sure.
Yeah, Mobley can do that, but that's not his specific play style.
So here's the thing: like AD is the best rim running center, but he's behind the play often. Anthony Davis is.
I think AD
he doesn't run quite as much.
I think AD is the best lob threat.
Yeah,
like are right up there for sure.
Yeah,
but rim running, unless it's all pick and roll, sure. Roll threat, lob threat, AD, I'll take it. But Allen is right up there.
You know what you just need? You need a time machine and bring back 2020 JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard. And there you go.
There you go. You're good.
Problem solved. Would love Drummond. He might be available. It really depends. The 76ers could dig their heels in and say, no, we're going to keep all of our guys and try to win right now. There's been some talk they might try to shed future salary to try to give more money to Gershon Yabusele and keep on to him and keep him. But they also might just be a buyer on the market. The 76ers, the Hawks, those are two teams that like could flip. They could go back and forth between being a buyer or a seller. So I'm curious to see if Drummond is available, and if so, does he get moved by the deadline?
Yeah, he could be interesting. I don't know if they ship him. I thought that they needed him as a backup there, but who knows?
Yeah.
Seeing some more comments. Chet.
That's a good one too.
Portis, Giannis. Those are some of the ones. Those are fair.
Is it possible to turn Rui and Wood into Day'Ron Sharpe and Rob Williams? I mean, you're talking about two different teams there. Or are we talking about Shaedon Sharpe?
Huh.
I'm assuming it wouldn't be Shaedon, because Shaedon Sharpe would be an absolute no. Yeah, you're not getting him.
He's not getting traded. I mean, Luka's a Laker.
Yeah. All right. You never know what's going to happen.
Never know.
All right, guys. Lakers fans, I am going to go live again tonight. We'll do a 9:00 Pacific time podcast, just so you guys know. That'll be coming. That'll be over on the channel, unless a trade goes down before then or something, which you never know this time of year. Best rim running center, Jackson Hayes.
Yeah.
Well, then they're all set.
There's a couple of them, but yeah, Jackson, they got him. He's actually up there. He's a good one.
He is. He's not bad, but he's a good backup.
Jackson is a 7-foot wing. That's what he is.
Yes.
That can't shoot. He's a 7-foot wing that can't shoot.
That's true.
Jericho Sims. Maybe he's one of them too. I don't know.
All right, everybody. We appreciate y'all joining us. Those asking when's the next members only live show, I got to figure that out and get that set. I wanted to do it today, but we had enough news come out to where I was pulled away on that. I may try to do one later tonight after, but I'll probably pre-record something and send it out and then do like a members only live at another time. But I got to get one in. I know. All right, everybody. I do appreciate all of you. BC, you got some things to say. I will make some time. I'll definitely, but this has been an insane trade deadline. I've been busier this trade deadline than I think any other trade deadline. And that's not just because of the Luka stuff. Like, it's been a nuts trade deadline already. And I think we got more coming.
Yeah, I mean, also because now you have this where we're doing these streams.
True.
So another hour thing. So.
The amount of stuff going on around the league, though,
yeah,
it's so active right now. It's so active.
Trevor is lazy.
All right, everybody. Appreciate all of you. Happy to see y'all here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.